Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. Today is Christmas, so first of all, I would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. This year, we witnessed a pandemic and an unprecedented attack from communist and far-left forces in the United States, making it even more important that we celebrate this Christmas with kind and warm hearts. As we all know, Christmas is not only a holiday to cherish the happiness of unity, it reminds us to maintain a firm and righteous faith in God. No matter how difficult the circumstances, even when it seems that darkness is about to engulf the entire world, we need to be courageous and follow our conscience in our actions. Next, let's move on to today's topic and start by discussing two very important bills currently being introduced in Congress. Since December 22nd, a message has been widely circulating on the internet. The 5,000-page stimulus bill passed by both the House and Senate included an amendment to nullify the president's use of the Insurrection Act. The shocking news quickly created a huge public outcry. Attorney Lin Wood was among the first to tweet about it. Actually, the stimulus bill did not mention the Insurrection Act. Instead, it appeared in the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. This Defense Act is a lengthy document with more than 4,500 pages. The part related to Insurrection Act appeared on page 4028. Like a needle in the haystack, it does not completely prohibit the president from using the Insurrection Act. However, it added a number of new conditions. What are they? First, prior to invoking the Insurrection Act, the President and the Secretary of Defense must certify to the Congress that the state is unable or unwilling to suppress an insurrection or domestic violence. Second, provide evidence and detail the mission scope and the duration of the proposed use of members of the armed forces. Third, the provision would require the President in every possible instance to consult with the Congress before invoking the Insurrection Act. Finally, the provision would prohibit direct participation by military personnel in a search, seizure, arrest, or similar activity, unless expressly authorized by law. The intention behind these provisions is very clear. In essence, they raise the bar for invoking the Insurrection Act and greatly weaken the President's power when using it. At the same time, it allows Congress to interfere with the use of special powers that belong to the President. This is suspected to violate the Constitution. Furthermore, the National Defense Authorization Act also touches on a very important question. It fails to remove Section 230, which was mentioned by President Trump. This allows tech giants like Facebook and Twitter to recklessly continue deleting posts and accounts and to suppress freedom of speech. It also lets the Chinese Communist Party systematically spread fake news and engage in information warfare against America under the guise of free speech. So for these reasons, President Trump vetoed the National Defense Authorization Act on December 23rd. He stated that the bill was a gift to China and Russia. He also said, "I will not approve this bill, which would put the interests of the Washington, D.C. establishment over those of the American people." But after the president vetoes a bill, Congress can choose to re-vote. If the act is passed again with 2/3 majority in both the House and the Senate, then the president's veto will be overturned and the bill will automatically take effect. Since this act was passed in the House by a vote of 335 to 78, and the Senate approved it by a vote of 84 to 13, both had more than 2/3 majority. So it is highly likely the 2/3 majority will be reached during the revote. which is scheduled on December 28th for the House revote and the 29th for the Senate revote. Now let's take a look at the relief bill. The bill basically just throws money at other countries, completely disregarding America's own problems. This supposed relief bill gives American and foreign government agencies over $100 billion, which has nothing to do with the pandemic. For example, the FBI was given $566 million for construction purpose. The Kennedy Center, which isn't even opened, was given $40 million. $25 million was given to Pakistan, $10 million of which are designated for gender programs. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million for Asian carp control, etc. On top of that, this relief bill, which contains more than 5,000 pages, would give members of Congress a massive salary raise. The bill details that the representative's salary would increase by nearly 30% and a 25% increase for senators. However, each American would only receive a $600 check, and illegal immigrants could get $1,800 each, which is 3 times the amount of U.S. citizens. President Trump said this bill is a disgrace and he would veto it. Similar to the National Defense Authorization Act, the relief bill will probably take effect after revote. From these two bills, some of you may have noticed that President Trump is now competing with both parties on some major internal issues. Both bills harm Americans and serve the long-standing interests of various political groups. They don't think that harming Americans matters. What's important to them is their own interests. This is why President Trump is always blocked, attacked, and even framed for doing the right thing. As we have repeatedly discussed in the past, the election battle is no longer about Trump versus Biden, nor Republicans versus Democrats. It is actually a vital match between the universal values of mankind against communist and totalitarian ideologies. It is an ultimate showdown between justice and corruption, good and evil. Why is that? It is because we see a large number of nonpartisan Americans supporting President Trump to expose election fraud. Also, a significant proportion of Democrats support restoring the truth of this election. On the contrary, many Republicans have chosen to collude with the opposite side, making deals and compromises. These people are not only betraying President Trump, but also the rest of America and its people. This includes those justices of the Supreme Court who claim to be nonpartisan. They are all positioning themselves in this battle between good and evil. Do they stand up for justice at the risk of losing their positions and interests, or do they sell out their conscience for the sake of personal gain? So from this perspective, President Trump is not just a Republican as he appears to be on the surface. The Republican Party is just a symbol. In fact, many Republicans do not see President Trump as one of their own either. And the opposite is also true. There are many Democrats who openly support President Trump and do not see him as their opponent, but as one of their own. This crowd that supports President Trump includes a large portion of traditional Republicans, a few Democrats, and also many swing voters. Of course, it also includes many African Americans and Hispanics, as well as a significant percentage of Asians who are more familiar with communism. We even see a large number of foreigners becoming supporters and followers of President Trump. This group of people all agree with President Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again." Behind the slogan are traditional values, which include economic nationalism that enriches the country, strong national security, and a pragmatic foreign policy. This has already created a miracle for foreign American diplomacy, turning peace in the Middle East from a dream into reality while barely firing a shot and without emptying America's pockets. What might be even more amazing to some people is the fact that President Trump has kept most, if not all, of his campaign promises he made back in 2016, with the exception of putting Hillary in jail. Of course, that would be extremely difficult, as he barely saved himself from the Russiagate framing. What I am trying to say is, many people support President Trump not just for his policies. The people see that he represents the traditional American values that have been nearly lost with the progressive agenda that leftists have been pushing. On the surface, we are supporting President Trump. Behind the scenes, it is America and the American values that we are fighting for. Practicing what you preach is a rare trait in politicians these days, whether it's the right or the left. President Trump, however, coming from the business world, does not seem to have caught this contagion. This is a major selling point for him, and shames politicians who behave otherwise. It's almost as if President Trump has created his own party, a party of reviving traditional values. In fact, this phenomenon goes far beyond the concept of political parties. It represents an idea, a trend that is being increasingly recognized around the world. Certainly, if President Trump wins back the election, it would be a huge blessing to the world. But even in the worst-case scenario, the ideas that he represents will not disappear. On the contrary, people will join together and make this idea a powerful force that will change the world. Perhaps this represents the meaning of good always prevailing over evil. This is what this election has really brought to light, to bring hope back to the people and to allow them to make the right choice. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Merry Christmas.